Looking very cash this morning.
If I'd have got the memo, I would have put golf attire on, but I didn't, so I've just been casual.
My memos have stopped.
They have, yeah.
Lockdown, haven't they?
Your communication is sadly lacking.
Is it? I do apologise. So what have you got in your hand, and what are we having a little play with this morning, Bernie?
Okay, so we've got our hands on the new Wilson Staff sort of CB head.
Yes.
Which is going head to head against the TITLEIST CB head.
Wow, this is a proper battle, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, so two clubs very similar in what they say on the tin, but do they perform the same?
Off the bat though, shelf appeal.
Shelf appeal, yeah.
Tell me, what do you think? Are you impressed by one over the other, or are they just, because they're so similar, they've fallen into the same category? Do they look the same?
Yeah, I mean, it's a. I would say if you were to look see both clubs on the shelf, they're both very shiny, aren't they? The material they've used is chrome, so that again gives a nice, for me, it gives a nice look to it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot going on, to be honest, on the back wise.
They're pretty plain, aren't they?
They're pretty plain. They've obviously got the
like
club logo on there.
Classy,
yeah. I mean that's a really good look. And what I would like, to
Which
look at
one
that
are you going to pick up first?
Probably the TITLEIST, mainly because of the way the back's designed.
Yeah.
It looks slightly smaller head than the Wilson.
Yeah.
The Wilson's got a slightly deeper, I'd say deeper cavity all the way through, whereas the TITLEIST, the main bit of cavity cut out is towards the very top line.
Yeah.
But they're both, to be honest, they're both great looking golf clubs.
Yeah, they are.
Guys, Dan Hendrickson here. We're at Torquay Golf Club, and today, as Lester has quite rightly said, we're going to be putting these two CB heads for a head-to-head. We're going to see what they kind of look like, what they feel like to us, give you a few numbers of how they perform, and then we obviously want to hear what you think as well about these two clubs. If you are new to the channel and you like what you're seeing, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But for now, let's go and hit these irons.
Talk to me, Bernie. What does that look like down by the ball? First impressions.
Nice. I
Isn't it?
like the initial look of it.
Yeah.
Some nice clean lines.
Yeah.
Nothing's too overly thick. Me personally, what I like to see when I look down at an iron, I don't want to see the back of it.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's very much
blends in nicely,
blends into the top line. So I can't see that. It's a really good looking golf club.
Yeah.
I've not seen much Wilson stuff for the recent years. Used to stock it years and years ago when I worked at Torquay originally, but that's a classy looking iron, and a dress, it looks really good.
Does it?
Yeah.
CB TITLEIST now. Now, from the cheap seats behind at the back here, I am not hearing a difference in that.
No.
Like, they sound like you could be hitting the same iron.
Okay.
Does that feel any different from club to club with those two?
So, from my own perspective, the TITLEIST feels slightly firmer when I'm hitting.
Okay.
I feel like the Wilson's got a little bit more spring to it, like slightly more hollow.
Okay.
Could just be the way I'm striking it, but I'd say that just feels slightly more solid.
More solid, harder off the face, softer? Which one's softer?
So this one I feel feels hard off the face, and I feel the Wilson's got more spring to it and
More
slightly
give.
softer. Yeah, almost
give
like
in
it's
the face.
get more give in the face.
And you prefer the TITLEIST from a feel? Or is that
There's not, to be honest, there's not a lot for me personally. There's not a lot between them. I could game both of those clubs on actual sound and
what
feel.
about looks down at the ball? Which one looks better? Because obviously the TITLEIST is a beautiful looking iron, as we know. But
I don't think in looks wise, looking down with the top line's very clean on both clubs.
yeah,
I can't see the back cavity, which I like as well.
Yeah, you said that earlier. That's
So
good.
from a dress, they look so similar.
Do they?
Yeah, almost like it's from the same mould.
Really?
Or very similar mould. Yeah.
there's not a great deal of difference in the look of those, is there? There really isn't from the back. I mean, there's lots of similarities going on, obviously both saying that they're a CB head, but when you look down on it, again, I'm seeing that there's maybe a fraction thicker from the top line of the Wilson compared to the Titleist. Titleist slightly thinner in its top line, but in some ways I think that might be actually quite a good thing, being slightly thicker on the top line. And the reason I say that is because if you pick up the CB head compared to the MB head in the Titleist, there's little to nothing in it from what it looks like. And so that's why you possibly see less CB heads in the Titleist, because they're either an MB player or they're then a T100 player. There's very few players that will maybe fall in that CB category. Whereas in the Wilson, I think if you go from the MB version of the Wilson, which I know is a really thin top line, pure butter knife type of look down at it, they've given you something here that is a little bit more forgiving looking in the CB range compared to what we're possibly getting from the Titleist side of it, which I actually think is probably quite a good thing and would lead to possibly a few more sales in their CB. So first looks down at the ball with the Wilson to get us going with is very, very compact looking head, little to no offset, and like I said, that top line is a slightly thicker top line than what we're going to find in the Titleist, but actually it's not intrusive. It's actually blends in really, really nicely to what my eye would like to see with this type of iron. And feel, pure buttery type of soft feel off the face. Nothing too hard, just something that just tells me when I've struck it properly, which that one there was a decent strike to get us going with, it just felt super soft, which is exactly what you'd expect to get from a forged head. Because I've used the MB version of the 620s all of last year, this to me just looks exactly the same as that MB head. Nice thin top line like I talked about earlier, definitely seeing similarities in the CB to the MB, which I'm not sure that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think, for like I said before, it's probably moving people away from going into this type of iron because they're seeing it already in the MB, or they're then wanting to get into the T100. But looks wise, just absolutely stunning looking head, just like the Wilson, to be honest with you. And the difference between possibly the Wilson feel and the Titleist feel is a higher pitch sound off the face of the Titleist compared to the Wilson. The Wilson felt super soft and dull off the face, which is not a bad thing. I say dull, but it's more of a thuddy kind of feel or sound off the face. Whereas the Titleist is more, I don't know, it's like almost a sweeter sound off the face, definitely more high pitched as it comes out off the bat. And I'm not saying that one's better than the other. Certainly I'm not feeling that the Titleist is any harder or firmer off the face. It's just a slight different pitch that we're getting that's bouncing around this studio. Numbers, numbers, numbers.
This is the exciting bit.
You get excited about this bit, do you? Really?
No.
I think you get excited about the hitting.
I was never good at maths at school.
Wilson to start you off with them.
Yep.
121.8 ball speed off the face. If you compare that to the Titleist, because that's what this is all about,
yeah,
118.9.
Okay, quicker off the Wilson. Yep.
Tell me what the lofts are on these two clubs.
Well, the Titleist is supposed to be 35 degrees of loft.
Yep.
And the Wilson is slightly stronger, only fraction at 34 degrees.
Okay, so we're seeing, and we'll come to it in a minute, but launch, look, 18.4 with the Wilson compared to 20.5.
Okay.
So we're getting 2 degrees more launch out of the Titleist than we are with the Wilson. So that's indicating that possibly there's a difference in loft there, maybe 2 degrees at the moment, roughly. But we'll come to lofts in a minute as well. Yeah. Spin, 6.2 in the Wilson compared to 7,000 in the Titleist.
Yeah.
So again,
700-800 revs more, isn't it?
Yeah. So again, that's indicating that possibly there's a big difference now in some lofts there. 3, possibly even 4 degrees if you look at those numbers. Peaking out 35 yards high with the Wilson, compared to 37 yards high with the Titleist. 168 carry with the Wilson compared to 160 carry with the Titleist.
The Titleist marries in more and compares more to my own existing set.
Yes.
Whereas the Wilson looks like it's a club longer.
It is a club longer, 168. So you're definitely a club further up there, which tells us if you're looking at club to club, it's 3 or 4 degrees club-wise, isn't it? Looking at the spin, the difference.
That Wilson 6-7 iron is my existing 6 iron.
If I give you the club data then, 26.4 degrees of loft delivery for Leicester at impact with that Wilson compared to 29.3 delivery of loft with that Titleist. 3 degrees difference.
Yeah, big difference.
That is a big difference. That we're getting out of it. Now we're using the same shafts in both KBS, so that hopefully shouldn't be changing anything. But ultimately, the difference between these two clubs is you're delivering less loft with that Wilson, so everything else is the same.
So to completely get a comparison, I would need the Wilson maybe 2 degrees weaker. Compared to the Titleist, or the Titleist 2 degrees stronger, whichever way you want to go.
Yeah, whichever way you want to go. Yeah. And I think if you got those lofts absolutely perfectly the same, I think these numbers would be identical. Yeah. I don't think there'd be anything different in that at all.
No, agreed.
Let's see what I get then. So, Wilson, 116 mile an hour off the club face compared to the Titleist at 116 mile an hour off the club face. So the same. Launching at 18.8 compared to 19.4. Yeah. 18.8 with the Wilson, 19.4 with the Titleist. Half a degree in that. Yeah. Spin though, 6.2, so the same spin that you're getting out of the Wilson, nearly 6.3, compared to 6.7. So my Titleist is right where I want it at that 6.7. That one Wilson just a fraction low. Peaking out 34 yards high with the Titleist compared to 33 yards high with the Wilson. So all of it marrying in the same as what yours is kind of doing in to a degree. And then 160 carry with the Wilson compared to 158 carry with the Titleist.
Your numbers are a lot more consistent and closer together than mine are, aren't they?
Yeah, but again, even if it's half a degree, and we'll come over to the club data, 27.3 degrees of loft with the Wilson compared to 29 degrees of loft with the Titleist. So what we're saying there's 2 degrees difference, less than 2 degrees difference, so 1.5, let's say it's 1.5 degrees. And those numbers correlate to that kind of 1.5 degrees, don't they? Yeah. So again, if we'd have got mine measured up to the fact that they're the same, we would probably end up with the same numbers right the way through. Yeah. So based on that, what are you going to do?
I would be quite happy, and I'll put this on camera, to play either of these clubs. Yeah. I would probably need a little bit of adjustment for either iron on loft wise. Yeah. But I love the look of both. There's no offset at all, which is what I like in an iron. Yeah. Looking down, they both look really, really good. Like you said, the Wilson probably a slightly thicker top line, but it doesn't put me off at all visually. Both cracking sets of golf clubs. It'd be, for me personally, from a price point of view, if I was on a budget, the Wilson would probably get the nod. If I was no budget, I'd probably go Titleist.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
That's only me personally. I mean, but yeah, I could definitely put both of these in the bag.
Titleist is, it's bang on, 35 degrees in that.
I think it's always good to test the equipment spec-wise, because not always what it says on the tin is in reality what comes. There's obviously a few minor mistakes from companies, isn't there?
You're always going to get it. You're always going to get a little. There's always a little
bit of variation, I suppose. Yeah.
It's 2 degrees stronger. The Titleist is coming in at 35 degrees, which is right, because we do test everything that comes in the door. Especially from the fitting side of things with our irons, to make sure that everything kind of matches up to what we want for fittings, which is really important. And obviously I've borrowed this Wilson one, and there is always going to be a tolerance level of 1 or 2 degrees either way with companies, and we've seen it many times. But from this fitting tool, we've got it's 1 degree stronger than, let's say, it's 34. So this is coming in at 33 degrees in its loft. So that's quite an important thing that we need to make a note on for this particular test. So based on that, these clubs are kind of doing exactly what they kind of said on the numbers that we got, and I think that from that side of it, their performance is very much the same. So what it then would come down to is what it looks like and what it feels like. and that comes down to your personal preference of what it feels like, and what it sounds like, and what it kind of looks like down by the ball. For me personally, I definitely love the look of the top line of what the Titleist is offering. I love the fact that it's a solid feel off the face. However, with the Wilson, I can see that this one is going to sort of get out there to many, many more people than possibly what the Titleist. I think a lot of people would look down at the Titleist and look a little bit scared of hitting it, whereas I think the thicker top line of what the Wilson offers is going to give someone just that little bit more confidence when they look down at that club. But like all of our videos that we do in here, we'd like to go out and test these on the golf course and put them through a proper test. And I always recommend that you guys go and do that as well. Get your fitting, and if you can get out onto some turf and hit some shots off the turf with them, that will give you a bit more of an idea of how they're flighting, how they're working for you personally. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel and you like what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you again in the next video.